So we're going to look at the high-low method in this video. The high-low method is a quick way to separate mixed costs. Remember, to use CVP analysis, we need to be sure that we have fixed and variable costs. Sometimes we have mixed costs, and we have to separate the fixed and the variable out of them in order to use CVP analysis and to be able to do a contribution margin income statement. So here we are given a comparative income statement for 3 months for the Kogan Corporation, and we're going to use the high-low method. So we can clearly see that October is the low month and December is the high month, and we're going by the units. We can also see some of our costs are variable and some are fixed. Cost of goods sold is changing with volume, so that's a variable cost. Shipping expense is a mixed cost, okay? So it's changing somewhat, but not in proportion to the change in units. Advertising expense we can clearly see is a fixed cost, as is insurance and depreciation expense. There's no change based on volume. Salaries and commissions expense we can again see has changed a little bit, so it probably has elements of mixed cost. So what we can do is we can use this method to separate the fixed and variable costs. Now, it is not the most accurate method to do this, but it is a quick way we can do it. So the first thing we would do is we would take the high month and the low month and get the change. Now, it doesn't always have to be months. It could be some other measurement. So the high month is December, as we said, at 14,000 units, and the low month is October. So the change, of course, is 4,000. Our shipping expense for December, that was our high month, was 52,000. And the low month shipping was 40,000. And for salaries and commissions, we can see our high month was 145, and our low month was 135. So what we can do here is we can use the high-low method here, this information we have here, to figure out our variable cost. So for shipping expense, okay, our variable cost, we would take the change of 12,000, okay, that's the change in the cost, divided by the change in the units. So our shipping expense, we could say, is $3 per unit variable cost. So that's our variable cost per unit. Okay, so what we're saying here is that by using this high-low method, we were able to determine by taking the change in the cost divided by the change in the units, and we could come up with a variable cost per unit of $3. Okay, again, there are more precise ways to do this, but this is one of the easier ways to do it. We can also do it with the salaries and commissions expense. We can take the change in the cost and divide it by the change in the units. So for salaries and commissions expense, we get $2.50 per unit. So now, in order to figure out the fixed costs, what we need to do is we need to take our total costs, and we almost always do this with the high month or high number, to come up with what we think our fixed costs are. And the way we're going to do that is we're going to take our high shipping expense of 52,000. Okay, so we're going to take the 52,000, and we're going to subtract, okay, the variable cost for shipping expense times the high number of units. So we always use the high number when we do this. So that's 14,000 units times the $3 variable cost per unit. So our fixed costs are 10,000. So we did that by taking our 52,000 and we subtracted our high number of units times the variable cost per unit. Okay? And this is dollars. We can do the same thing for salaries and commissions expense. We can take our high number of 145,000, and again, we can subtract that by the high number of units and multiply that by our variable cost per unit. And that can give us our fixed cost per unit of 110,000. Again, so what we did there was we took the 145 and again we used high number of units and we multiplied it by the variable cost per unit. Okay, so from this we can develop what's called the mixed cost function, and we will do that in the next video. Thank you for your attention.